Evergrande's shares fell by 20% on the exchange in Hong Kong before trading was suspended. Well, let's get more analysis on the ramifications of this now. Let's chat to Shirley Yu, who's Senior Visiting Fellow at London School of Economics. Thank you so much for joining us, Shirley. First of all, how did we get to this stage? Just remind viewers who may not be familiar with the background.
This is a 11th hour attempt to try to seek a restructuring of the company at the Hong Kong High Court. But more fundamentally, the company has been in serious financial default. And if I were to tell you that there is a company with a debt level of $330 billion and with an asset size of only $240 billion, and the company continues to run on a net operating loss from quarter to quarter, you would agree that the company is no longer financially viable. However, over the past couple of years, since Evergrande defaulted on the very first dollar debt 2 years ago, the company has resorted to policies at the board level to favor the equity holders, the shareholders, over the debt holders by issuing quarterly dividends. And so the biggest beneficiary, obviously, was the founder, Hui Kai-yan, and his former wife. And so this is really a last resort effort for the debt holders to say, hey, we should be prioritized. So in the liquidation procedure, once again, the debt holders will be paid before equity holders receive anything. And in theory, given the company's balance sheet, debt holders could potentially receive up to 60 to 70 cents on the dollar.
And Shirley, as you hinted there, eye-watering numbers that we're talking about. But how easy is it going to be for investors to recover their money?
It's going to be rather difficult for the equity holders, including some of the institutional funds, at a very small percentage, I would say, looking at the current balance sheet at Evergrande. But the debt holders are the ones who are actually looking at recouping some of their principal investments. So the government inevitably will step in to supervise the restructuring and the liquidation process. The local government has already been overseeing the restructuring process over the past couple of years. And I think the priority there is rather in considering of the debt holders or the equity holders is to really consider the average Chinese citizen's interests. So there are still a large number of Evergrande's development properties that are incomplete, and it's really a priority, I think, for the government to continue to finish the projects and give these apartments back to the citizens. However, there is another risk looming on the horizon, which is how does the government effectively contain the spillover risk from Evergrande to the other large real estate developers in China.
And just briefly, Shirley, what does this do to investor confidence in China and in the economy more broadly?
If we were to look at the market response to the news, you have just mentioned there were a sharp reaction before the announcement from the court was actually released. But after that, the response has been rather mild. It would be hard for me to imagine that there were no sufficient discussions between Hong Kong and Beijing in terms of the contingency plans in response to the Evergrande situation. And so particularly when it comes to the banking regulators and the security regulators, I think there have been ample policies, contingency measures on the table in response to the shock factor there. But more fundamentally, when it comes to the real estate sector, I would say this is rather the beginning than the end. Over the 2010s period, if we were to look at the top 100 real estate developers in China, probably by the end of this real estate cycle, 50 will be left. So there will be more insolvencies, more consolidations, and more nationalization on the horizon.
Shirley Yu from London School of Economics, thank you for your analysis.